those kicks.
And just like that, from one day to another, my life changed forever. Hi, my name is Rafael, and I have cancer.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
I have played sports my whole entire life. I don't even think there was a year that I didn't play sports growing up. I was always busy with them. I was introduced to the beautiful game of soccer at a very young age. From there, it was history. I played on many traveling soccer teams, Division 1, Division 2. I was on Olympic development programs, ODP, traveled to some academies in South America to play. For anyone who played with me or whoever played, if you ever played on any kind of like traveling soccer team as a kid, especially the competitive organizations, you know how beautiful it was. Waking up for the tournaments, traveling far, everyone in the van, like listening to music, pumping each other up, getting ready for the game. The wins, the losses, the tears, the joy, like to me, nothing will ever beat those years. And I was thankful to have a dad who coached me my whole entire life and was there with me, enjoying those moments. I also, believe it or not, played basketball. Won some championships, and I was also very, very into martial arts my whole life. Watching Bruce Lee, watching Jean-Claude Van Damme, all those, 80s and 90s martial arts movies, you couldn't help but want to be them. So I got put into Taekwondo at a very young age as well, and I became a Taekwondo champion. I was also a high school wrestling champion. I loved anything that, that just got you exhausted, pretty much. I love that feeling of working out. I love that feeling of pushing yourself to the limit, to like where you have nothing left. Because in sports, especially competitive sports, you start to find out who you really are, or what you're really made of when you have nothing left in your gas tank and you gotta keep moving or you're done. So I was always really, really in tune with my body. I knew what it was supposed to feel like. I knew what you're supposed to feel when you pushed hard or when you didn't give it your all. I am always very aware of how I feel. And as I grew up, I always played sports. I continued playing sports. To me, like if I don't play sports, I'll go mad. I'll go crazy. I need that exhaustion. I need that game. I need that, that's what makes life worth living. And I remember playing on this soccer team, adult soccer league, and when I was driving home, usually after a game or any kind of, physical activity, especially a rigorous one, you feel amazing after. There's a big dopamine dump. There's a big endorphins rush throughout your whole body to where you feel like you just feel amazing. And I remember going home and feeling weird. I was like, great, something is wrong. My body doesn't feel right. Something's off. Like I can't explain what it felt like, but it didn't feel normal. Like something was weird in my body. So, at first I thought, great, I probably had diabetes because my dad has diabetes, my aunts have diabetes, my cousins have diabetes. My grandfather, died of diabetes, and I really thought that that's what was going on with me because, sometimes they say it's hereditary. So I go and I get my blood drawn from my primary care doctor, and I wait about a week or, a couple of days, and I get a phone call and the nurse asks me to come in. So I walk in, and already something's up. The doctor's sitting down. Usually, you know, everyone's kind of like friendly. The nurses are looking at me with this face as if they're sad, and something was up. I ask, what's wrong? What did you find out in the blood work? And he looks at me and he says, we found abnormal blood reading in your white blood count. And I asked, okay, well, what's wrong? He looks at me and he says, I think you have cancer. And, you know, me not really knowing that much about cancer, because I never really had anyone in my family or even anyone close to me have cancer. So I go, all right, well, what do we do? What do we do to fix it? And he gives me this face and he says, there's no cure for cancer. And I'll never, ever forget that feeling of, like, the first thing that came to my mind was like death. And I look at him and I'm like, I'm gonna die? And he says, if it's the kind that he thinks, which is leukemia, he says, I have 5 years. And that feeling of, you know, we all know we're gonna die. Every living thing is gonna die. But when you're told that you're gonna die, it's like if someone pushed a button in my head and like these new eyes of life came out. Oof. Oof. He thinks that I have leukemia because leukemia is a cancer of a disease of the bone marrow, where, you know, your chromosomes went spiraling out of effect into this mutation, which, you know, led to my white blood counts just spiraling out like into like a blast. And a normal person with a healthy white blood count reading is in the range of like 4,000 to 11,000. Mine was almost at 100,000, which is a huge indicator of leukemia. So I'm crying, I'm bawling my eyes out. I didn't care that, you know, I was crying like a baby in front of them. And I'll never forget that feeling. We all know we're gonna die one day. You know, you're kind of taught that as a kid, or as a human being growing up. But when you're told like you might die, it's a very eerie feeling. I ask him, well, what kind do I have? And, you know, he says I have to go see an oncologist to understand what type of leukemia, if it's leukemia at the time, I had. So I ask him, you know, in a very blunt manner, well, what do you think I have? Do you think he says it's hard to tell, you know, since he's not, you know, an oncologist, but I ask him just to give me the rundown, like what's gonna happen give me the rundown on both of them. So CML, chronic myelogenous leukemia, is treatable. You know, for some people, you know, you take a chemotherapy pill for the rest of your life and you just deal with it and you get to live, hopefully. People who have AML, acute myelogenous leukemia, you know, it's the worst of the two. So I remember leaving the office. I sat in my car and I cried again. I sat in there for about 30 minutes and I cried. And I cried hard. And I cried because the only thing I could think of was not seeing like my family again, ever again. To me, that was the most brutal feeling I had ever felt in my life. So the next step is looking for an oncologist. So I start researching, looking for reviews, seeing who's one of the best people, and I call, and they're so backed up. I finally just pick one, and it's 3 weeks out from the day I got told I might have cancer. So I remember for 3 weeks, my mind was in this hole, like this deep black hole. All I could think about was, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer. I might die. For 3 weeks, I was depressed, I was sad, I was scared. I'll never forget those 3 weeks. Those 3 weeks were one of those most horrifying 3 weeks of my life. Thankfully, I had a sister who was incredibly supportive. My family, my friends were incredibly supportive, but I remember my mother and my sister, they kept me very, very, I guess safe. They made me feel safe. They made me feel happy. I couldn't even watch anything scary. I used to love watching like horror stuff or horror shows, and the moment like the opening credits came, my mind started like panicking. My heart started beating, and all I could think about was death. So I couldn't watch that no more. I had to watch like happy movies, like Home Alone, or something that made me feel happy. So 3 weeks later, I see an oncologist. They do a FISH test, which gives the answer of what kind of cancer I have. Well, to confirm that I have cancer and to know what kind I have. So they do the FISH test, get the results. It's confirmed I have leukemia. And the whole time I'm hoping at least it's CML. And then thankfully the news comes out, I have CML. Even though having cancer sucks, I much rather have CML than AML. And for that, I was incredibly grateful. I asked the doctor, what's the next step? And he tells me chemotherapy in a pill form, an oral form. So I ask him, okay, well, what does it do? What are the side effects? It gives me the rundown. It's a toxic pill, and you're gonna get really tired all the time. Your joints are definitely gonna hurt. Your bones are gonna hurt, but you get used to it. I go home, I get my first batch of pills a couple days later, my chemo pills, and I open the box, and on the pill bottle it says biohazard. Dispose of in the proper way. I'm gonna have to take this biohazard pill, put it in my body for the rest of my life in order to live, and that just didn't sit well with me. It really bothered me. In fact, I remember reading that, and I threw the pill across the room, the bottle, and I started crying again. And just out of anger, out of frustration, accepting that I have to put this in my body for the rest of my life was kind of hard to swallow. So I did a ton of research before I took the pill, a ton of research. And I ended up finding many people who have cured themselves naturally, holistically, through diet, through a radical change in their food. And I know that it doesn't work for everybody. I know that many people have tried and died from it, but I had to find out if it would work for me. So I met with people that cured themselves. They had it, the cancer was only in certain parts of their body. Not like me, where it's everywhere. It's in my blood, in my bones, it's everywhere. So I said, I can do this. I think I can do this. I started researching like the benefits of, of eating raw, eating nothing but raw food, like from the earth. And to me, that was already gonna be like one of the hardest tasks of my life, because I am a pig when it comes to eating. I love to eat, working out so much, you just want to eat and eat anything. So in my heart, I said, if I'm gonna do this, if you're gonna start this, you're gonna do this. So I didn't take the pill yet. I told myself, let me see what happens in 30 days. Let me see if something happens with the numbers. So at that point, prior to that, my numbers were only going up. My white blood count cells were only going up. And I went hardcore. I bought all this organic food. I went and I learned how to, make my food, prep my food. In fact, my whole family, joined me with, learning how to garden. I started plowing. I made my own organic garden, green peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, eggplant, carrots. It was a beautiful thing seeing all the food grow that I planted, my family planted. And for those people who don't know about gardening or having, plowing, it's incredibly tough. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work to maintain. But, I didn't give up, we didn't give up, and we kept going. So for 30 days, I logged everything I ate, everything to like a T, like the morning, the night, the midday, my snacks. And I kept a journal. So after 30 days, I went to my primary care doctor, and, my blood count, my white blood count was only going up and up and up during this whole time. So after 30 days of eating nothing but raw food, and I mean nothing but raw food, nothing was cooked, there was no salt, there was no sugar, nothing processed, everything was food from the earth. I juiced, I made alfalfa sprout sandwiches with like tomato, cucumbers, and crushed nuts, just to make it kind of flavorful. And it was hard, but I did it. I remember doing it for 6 months. So I go to my primary care doctor and I ask him to take my blood so I can know if the diet is working. It's only been 30 days, but maybe there might be some kind of drop, maybe not, in the numbers. So then I get a phone call a couple of days later, and my primary care doctor's like, it's working. It's working. And at first I'm like, you're kidding me, because you always kind of like, maybe it might work, maybe not. But again, I had to try. I had to find out. As hard and as rigorous as the diet is, I had to try. So he tells me the diet's working. After 30 days of eating, my numbers have dropped to 54, from 88 to 54. And he even says that my cholesterol was perfect. And before that, he wanted to give me Lipitor pills because I had high cholesterol. My mom has it, my dad has high cholesterol, they take pills for it. A lot of older people take pills for high cholesterol, and I just told him no, I wanted to see if, this will work as well. So, the food was definitely working. The raw diet was curing my body of like my high cholesterol, my white blood counts were dropping, and I just couldn't believe it. I was so happy because it was paying off, So after 60 days,
last time they were at 55 after day 30, and now, it being day 61, we're hoping for the numbers to at least have dropped somewhere in the 40s or the 30s. I'm hoping somewhere in the 30s, but if they're only only somewhere in the 40s, I'm okay with that. I just want them to go down somewhat. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really nervous. I feel like throwing up, but that's part of the game.
So I just came out of the doctor's office, and the diet's working. My white blood count cell has dropped 21 points. It went from 55 on day 30, and now it's at 34. Sorry.
34.8. Now it's at 34.8. And I'm really excited because the diet's working. It's working. God, I'm so excited. It's at 34.8. That's freaking amazing. And all through nutrition.
I go and I see the original oncologist that I had talked to that confirmed I had leukemia. I go and I show them the papers. I show them all the results. I go, hey, I haven't taken the pill yet. And they kind of look at me with this face like, what'd you say? And I told them I didn't take the pill yet because I want to see if this is working. If the, a holistic approach, I have to try at least before I put that poison in my body. So I show them the numbers. I show them the food, what I've been eating, like the results, the blood work, very neatly categorized. And the nurse comes in, looks at the paper. She asks me, how are you doing this? And I tell her straight up, I'm like, I'm eating raw food. I'm trying to do it this way before I commit to the pill. And she kind of gives me this face, I'll be right back. So she leaves, comes back like 10 minutes later. She probably went to go talk to the doctor. And she hands me back the papers and says she thinks it's best, or the doctor thinks it's best, if I see another oncologist. So at first I'm like, great, is it because we're gonna work with like the food and that? Or she goes, we just think it's best if you see another doctor. And I still didn't understand, like, are you kicking me out? And she's like, again, I think it's best if you see another doctor. Thank you. And walks away. Talk about a low blow. Like, they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't want nothing to do with me eating that way and not taking the pill. All they cared about was me getting a prescription for the pill and taking it. So I go and look for another doctor. I find one, and she tells me that, they're trained to be this way. I get it. I kind of broke down to her and I asked her, like, I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't we work with this first, like with the diet, and then go to that if it doesn't work? She just said that's not the way they're trained, and, she would be willing to work with me though. So thankfully, like, I was forever grateful for her accepting to work with me. She told me that, this doesn't work for everybody, that she's also heard of cases where people have cured themselves, but she doesn't recommend it. And that's okay, I know that she's an oncologist, she was trained a certain way, and I explained to her that I just needed to know. I had to find out if this worked or not. And even though my numbers were dropping, that didn't mean that I was killing the cancer. And I told her, it's okay. I'm going to keep trying. So she told me that if my numbers start going up, that I have to take the pill. Because if I don't take the pill and the numbers keep going up, my CML can turn into AML. And when she told me that, I got scared. So I went home. I started going hard on the diet. I would eat, because here and there you would cheat, and I would cheat. My cheat would be like avocado with lettuce and drizzled like lemon or something, because it was only lemon juice, but I would eat that like so randomly at night, and eating that late at night to me was cheating, because I would try to almost starve my body of anything at night. I would only eat, morning, midday, and for dinner in the evening. So I go get my blood checked again, and the numbers started going up a little bit. So I went harder and harder again the next month, and the numbers were going up a little bit more. So I go to my oncologist, I tell her what's going on, and she's like, I think you hit a wall where your body like kind of figured it out and is going back to where your numbers are going to start slowly going back up. I talk to my family, and they're begging me to take the pill because I tell them that it could turn to AML. So it was a hard 6 months for me to accept that I was going to take this poison pill for the rest of my life.
It seems that the numbers are on the rise again, and I don't know what to do. And after talking with my family and my sister, and her having friends in the medical field too, telling them that my cancer is not like other cancers, and that it does work for, like, natural healing does work for other cancers, but for the type of cancer that I have, it's not really gonna work. And the reason that the numbers went all the way down from 88 to 34 after 60 days is because my body went through a dramatic change or something. I think it's getting to the point where I have to take the pill, and it crushes me. It crushes my heart, and I feel like I failed, but I know I didn't fail, because I didn't cheat once. I gave it my all. I gave it my all, and I guess I have to throw in the towel, because I don't want it to get any worse. I don't want it to get acute. So I think it's time to take the pill. I really didn't want to take the pill because it was a toxic pill, and I didn't want to have to depend on that for the rest of my life. And but it just kills me inside, because I tried so hard. I tried with all my might, And God knows I did, and my family knows I did. They saw how I ate every single day, even being around certain foods. Like, I never cheated. But I'm really bummed out that I lost the fight.
I am incredibly grateful for the pill, because it has saved many, many people's lives. I think 10 years ago, this pill didn't exist. So if you had CML, you were gonna die, slowly. So I take the pill, and I'll never forget the first week of taking the pill. The first 2 weeks. Now, I had never known what chemotherapy was supposed to feel like. You always just kind of hear about it, but chemotherapy is brutal. It's a pill that will knock you on your butt, and it'll test your will to live or to get up. I remember my bones hurt, this feeling of nausea. It's almost as if you have the flu. Your body's on fire. I couldn't even get out of bed to go pee. I had to like crawl over and mush my body left to right, and I would lay on the floor, scooch more like a worm, lay on the floor, pry myself up on the toilet, sit on the toilet, and I would have to sit piss because I didn't have the strength to stand up. It almost felt like I was dying slowly. And that feeling was really hard. It was really hard to get through. So after about a month, I did not want to take it anymore. I told the doctor, I'm not taking this anymore, because and only the people who have taken this pill or have done chemotherapy understands what that feeling is like. So they lower my dosage, and it's a little bit more tolerable, but it still sucks. It still sucks so bad. I remember it was hard for me to let my family see me this way, because I looked yellow, I looked green, I looked like I was dying. I remember that, looking in the mirror and, still not knowing what's gonna happen. You're always scared. You're always, wondering, what if it goes into the blast stage? What if it turns into AML? What if this chemo pill doesn't work? So I ended up getting on another pill, because the pill that I was on Gleevec no longer worked. So they ended up putting me on a harder pill called Sprycel. So I started taking Sprycel, had to get used to it again, you know. And during this whole time, I would still train a little bit, not too much, because my body just couldn't handle it. I would try to work out and I would feel nauseous right away. And even through that, I remember trying to do burpees, feeling that way, just to feel like some kind of happiness in my body, but it would only make it worse. So I had to just lay in bed and take it.
Getting up out of bed hurts. Moving around in bed hurts. Everything hurts. And when I mean everything, I mean joints, muscles, bone to the core. I'm so miserable. If this is just a pill, I can't even imagine what the people who have to go through, like the rounds of chemotherapy at the hospital. Oh my God.
I take the pill, and 3 years later, I'm in remission. And I'll never forget the day that I walked into my mom's house and I look at her and I tell her, "Mom, the cancer's undetectable. I'm in remission." And she cried in my arms.
¡Qué bueno, qué bueno! Gracias, Dios mío, muchas gracias. Qué bueno, mi hijito, bendito mi Dios.
I'm in remission. Are you happy, Mom?
Pues, ¿cómo crees, mi hijito, que me voy a estar?
It was one of those beautiful moments of my life, because the fear of like dying had gone away. You know, the Grim Reaper isn't knocking on my door yet, and I was incredibly grateful. You know, it was just a happy day, a happy day. So from there, I just remember telling myself I'm gonna be incredibly fit. You know, I've done sports my whole life, but I wanted to really, you know, I learned a lot from eating the way I ate those 6 months. I woke up from many things about eating processed food. I learned so much of the power of food, the power of how food can be medicine to the body. Not everyone can do it because it's incredibly hard. I think for everybody who's in the fitness world, you know, eating clean is harder than working out. And eating clean will get you the most results with working out. So now I am addicted to helping others. All I want to do is train people, help people, teach people, you know, make people reach their goals, you know, not just like physically, but also mentally, you know, pushing my mom, pushing my dad, pushing my friends, my clients, my students, you know, giving a thumbs up to people running on the street, you know, anything that can just change someone's life in a positive way.
4, 3, 2.
I cannot live without like fitness. It's like it's been in me my whole life. If I don't work out, I feel like I'll go crazy, I'll go mad. I need that exhaustion. You know, growing up, I played soccer my whole life, as I said before. But what stopped my career was I had so many surgeries. You know, to this date, I have 7 knee surgeries. 7. And, you know, from blowing my ACL, like, you know, a number of times, trying to rehab it, trying to continue competing, playing, you know, and then boom, hurting it again. And then this like stubborn will to like, nope, I'm gonna fix it and I'm gonna go again. And if I have to, you know, get another surgery, then I will, because that stubbornness of, you know, that mental hunger to keep playing, to keep, you know, fighting, like you just don't want to let it go because you love it so much. I've had a number of concussions, meniscus surgery, I had broken ankles, fractured ribs, sternum. There's so many injuries that, you know, from all the sports that I've played, but still, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I've had kidney stones. I had kidney stone surgery the day my daughter was born. So I've been through some pain, you know, I've been through some physical pain, some mental pain. I've been in the dark, I've been in a hole. But through all that, you know, I kept pushing. I never stopped pushing. And that's still one thing, like that's my message to everybody. Never give up, never stop pushing. You know, you have one life. You know, train, stay happy, do what you love. Like, if you want to be something, then find a way to be that person. You have one life, and if you don't do it now, then when? If you don't choose to change, then when are you going to change? For me, jiu-jitsu has really taught me a lot about myself. You know, I've done many sports. I started doing jiu-jitsu like after high school. I've been doing it for almost like 14 years, and I love it. Like, it humbles you. The game, it's like a human chess game. There's nothing like jiu-jitsu. There's nothing like fighting. Not in an angry way. It's almost like a game of like, I got you. You know, I touched you. I tagged you. In grappling and jiu-jitsu, it's like it really is like a thinking game. Like, and it's, if you've never done jiu-jitsu, I highly recommend anyone to go try it. And I've become a teacher at a school where I love everybody. I love teaching. I think teaching the younger generation is something incredibly important. And for those people who have not seen this younger generation, like the potential, the athleticism, the creativeness and the hunger of these people. I don't know if it's because of Instagram and there's all these really cool videos of people doing sports, or, you know, showing really neat moves in any sport. It's making like the brain of the younger generation like connect more creativity in the sport or sports. So when I'm teaching jiu-jitsu and I see like these younger guys, these younger girls, I'm just like blown away of like, wow, they're really good, and they just started. So now I take a chemo pill every single day. I mean, there are days where I skip it, and it's because I just sometimes can't take that feeling, or I just don't want to feel that feeling that day. And even through all that, you know, taking the pill and feeling the way I feel, I still push myself to like wake up in the morning and go train other people. I still push myself to go train at night after a long day of work. And I still push myself to, you know, get up and do things that, you know, I know are gonna help me be a better person or a better human being in life. If I don't work out, if I don't go train, if I don't go teach, like I feel empty. I feel like life doesn't even matter. Like, what brings me joy is training with my brothers and sisters, you know, getting beat up, beating them up. You know, there's nothing like it. To me, it's the ultimate happiness, and I'm gonna give it my all right now, because I know that there's gonna come a time where, if it already hasn't happened yet, that my body won't be able to be the old Raph that I used to be. I know that I'm not gonna ever be that person again, but I'm gonna train as if I'm gonna be that person again or better. And I'm gonna help everyone around me become the ultimate them. Like, I'm gonna make them be, you know, people that they thought they could never be. I hope to teach them, you know, discipline and, you know, having the tenacity to like just grind and push themselves to the ultimate versions of themselves. And, you know, give love to one another. Give love to everyone around you. You know, don't put anyone down. Don't be a bully. Don't, you know, be angry. Try to give love to everybody. Try to motivate people. Try to push them to be the ultimate human beings they can. So then that energy can, you know, ricochet off everybody. And then, man, imagine how the world would be if everyone really was like happy and motivating towards each other, pushing each other. You know, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. You know, I just was fortunate enough to, you know, put this on my laptop and just edit it, cut it for you guys, and show you. You know, this is my story. This is my story. Everybody has a story. I am